Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Hello, welcome on in. Friday edition of the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart here on 365 Sports, your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Trying out a new hat here. I love the design of it. I got it for $13, $14, I think, on eBay. I actually had eBay credit, so it was free. But I don't love the way the bill is curving. So if you have any thoughts, please let me know in the comment section below. And we're going to talk about the Celtics and the kind of unfortunate, if there's something as unfortunate fortune, the Celtics just just got it with Cade Cunningham being out for possibly the end of the season. And now the Celtics are the odds-on favorite to win the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown did that more people need to appreciate. We're going to take a moment for that. And then we're going to look at the other team that plays in the Garden, okay? The Bruins. Can they get over the finish line? That's becoming a serious question here. We're going to have Jack Studley of Boston Hockey Now to talk about the one guy that can get them over the finish line and the kind of boost he expects to see from James Hagens entering the lineup next week. Fingers crossed. All that and more coming up on this episode of the Wicked Boston Show. And hey, guys, we're about to get into the show here for Friday, but how about next week? Next week, we're going to be getting into baseball, man. Red Sox, that opening day right around the corner. And even though the Ranger Suarez thing isn't looking good, man, it's looking good right now, I should say. All kinds of positive signs coming out of the World Baseball Classic. And this team could be a wagon. The Celtics are already a wagon right now. And by some, I guess, divine intervention, they are looking like the biggest wagon in the Eastern Conference. So as it relates to the Celtics, huge news around the NBA yesterday, and not the good kind, but certainly the Celtics will unfortunately benefit from this. Cade Cunningham out for at least the rest of the regular season and probably beyond with a collapsed lung. Man, just brutal. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's out here saying, well, Patrice Bergeron played through one in the Stanley Cup final. No, dude, trying to play in the NBA or any pro sport with a collapsed lung, you have every excuse in the book to not play with a collapsed lung. But now, as a result of Cade Cunningham's injury, the Celtics are now the odds-on favorite to win the Eastern Conference. It changed dramatically yesterday, looking at it through FanDuel because DraftKings does not sponsor us anymore. The Celtics are now plus 170 to win the East in 2026. The Pistons go from first all the way down to fourth at plus 650. And, this isn't a gambling show, but I do find it interesting. You go, first off, the Pistons tanking all the way to plus 650 in the fourth best odds in the Eastern Conference. The next best odds, the Charlotte Hornets, the plus 3,500. I mean, that's crazy. First off, a crazy drop, plus 650 to plus 3,500, but the Charlotte Hornets are in the top five with the best odds to win the East between the Celtics and Detroit. It's Cleveland and then the Knicks, of course. But now that that's over with, you kind of have to ask the question if you're a Celtics fan. Without Cade Cunningham, who do you worry about in the Eastern Conference? I was kind of worried about Detroit because of how they can, really, I don't want to say muck it up. Maybe that's not the right word, but how they can get after you defensively and how well they've played team basketball this year, not for nothing. They could slow a team down, but the Celtics are already the slowest team in the league, so it doesn't really matter for them. So I wasn't terribly concerned about Detroit, but they have played really well against the Celtics this year. Cleveland, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Can't be concerned about a team with James Harden in the playoffs. We talked about it last week with Sam LaFrance, but it's I've seen James Harden basically win 2 games by himself in a playoff series against the Celtics. And the Celtics still beat them in 7 games. James Harden plus Philly. I mean, that was always going to be that was always going to be the result. Celtics were always going to win that series no matter what. So I can't be too concerned about him. James Harden is a guy who the Celtics have his number. He's someone who does not elevate teams in the postseason. Donovan Mitchell, tremendous player. Love watching him. Never been out of the second round. So I'm am I really worried about that team when the Celtics are as close to full health as they'll be? Jayson Tatum probably won't be at 100% because I don't know if he will be this whole season, but you're as close to healthy as you could be. You'll have Vucevic back at that point. And, that pick and roll game, another thing we talked about with Sam LaFrance, between Tatum and Vucevic, that is going to be lethal, dude. That is going to be absolutely lethal. So not terribly concerned about Cleveland. The Knicks, my concern level is the same as it was last year, and the Knicks beat them in the series last year. So maybe that's the team I should be concerned about, because Detroit, no. Charlotte, that'll be interesting. That'd be real interesting. But then you're talking about Philly and Miami. Like, no way, dude. No way. So this has really kind of paved the path for the Celtics to go to the NBA Finals. It was kind of a cutesy thing we were saying a couple of weeks ago of like, man, they're really good enough to be in the conversation. But the whole time we were saying, well, Detroit's better. Like, Detroit's going to be the odds-on favorite. The Celtics will probably run out of gas before they can get to the NBA Finals. Now? Is anybody thinking that now? And if they do go, which I had them at like plus 500 or so a couple months ago. But if they do go to the NBA Finals, we're now talking about the preeminent organization in the NBA right now, if we weren't already. The Spurs are getting back to prominence, and Oklahoma City's the defending champs, and they could well win the thing again. But the crown for best organization in basketball the last decade plus has been the Golden State Warriors. You saw them the other night. They don't have a chance in hell at making any kind of run in the postseason, even with Steph Curry. They don't. And their head coach basically said that. He said, we're not hitting sixth place. We're playing in the play-in. And Miami was the one that touted itself as the one who could do more with less. Maybe they tested that a little too far because they don't have shit. Bam Adebayo's not going to score 83 for you in a play-in game. It's not going to happen. And you'd be lucky to win a game in a 7-game series if you're the Miami Heat this year. Seriously. I know I've said that about them before and have gotten bitten in the ass, but I think this is different. This is different. So when you talk about the organizations in this league, it's the Thunder and it's the Boston Celtics. And what it's going to come back to is the two guys. It's a bad transition, but hey, put up the new banner, Zach. This is for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Celtics fans, you are in a glorious era right now, whether we realize it or not. It needs to be 2 or 3 titles for it to be truly dynastic, truly like one of a kind, truly an era of Celtics basketball. You need a couple of championships. Knock on wood, those are coming. And it might not be this year, but those are coming. Because what I saw the other night was Jaylen Brown move into top 10 territory. I saw Jaylen Brown move into the top 10 for the Celtics all-time leading scorers. And Sean Grandy put it perfectly on Twitter. He said, man, 13 years after you traded away 2 of the most impactful, memorable players in Celtics history, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, they're in that kind of pantheon. Now the 2 guys you got out of those Brooklyn draft picks, the number 3 overall picks, are both in the top 10 all-time in franchise scoring for the franchise in NBA history. The most decorated, the most impactful, the most successful franchise in the history of this league. Those 2 guys are above all else. And they're in the top 10, and they're in their prime. They got plenty of good years ahead of them. Guys, we are living the dream here with the Boston Celtics. We are living the dream. They've already been to 2 NBA Finals. They've won a title, and they will get back to more. You have got 2 franchise players on your team, 2 guys who will have their numbers retired, legitimately will have their numbers retired in the Garden Rafters, not the way that Bill Sharman and Frank Ramsey do. but you have like 2 top 10 players in the history of your franchise. You have a coach who's not even 40 yet and has the best winning percentage of any coach ever through his first 3 seasons. You have a GM who isn't even 50, who is fleecing the rest of the league. He went from being a damn good NBA coach to being the best executive in the entire association. You've got 2 all-time players in their prime. You have all defensive guys around them. You have a next generation of incredible role players ready to be guys who contribute to championship teams. You've got it all. Feels like you've got an owner that's willing to invest in this. Feels like we got to see that play out. But there has not been a better time in my lifetime to be a Celtics fan than right now. And I said this for years. It makes me sound so stuck up and bratty, but what doesn't when it comes to Boston sports? But what my generation and the generation before me has not had, even though they've had everything else you can think of in terms of Boston sports landscape, what we have not had that a bunch of the other generations before us has had is a Celtic dynasty. We've had a couple of championships. We've had some good runs. But we have not had that kind of dynasty. In the 50s and 60s, you bet they had it, 11 out of 13. In the 70s, they even had 2 out of 3 in its own defined era. And then in the 80s, you got another one. Celtic dynasty through the decades. Shoot, man, my dad got like 3 of them before he was 30 years old. Now is the time for this generation. And I'm talking deep here, I am, but it was put right in my face with those 2 guys being in the top 10 all time in Celtic scoring. That this is as good as it gets. Like, we are in the good old days right now. I guess not as good as it gets because they can win a couple more, but we're in it right now. And I have noticed it with the next generation, the kind of those college kids and younger around here. Like, this is their team, the Celtics. You know, growing up, I got to grow up with the Red Sox reversing the curse, which was like the greatest thing to ever happen to the city, and grew up in the Patriots dynasty. Those were the teams. And specifically, the Patriots were the team. That my generation, like that was the team. The one that made the most news, the one that you never missed a game, the one that you hold with the greatest reverence was the Patriots. And hopefully Drake May's bringing that back. You know, and the Red Sox is going to be fun. I think you saw a team or a city that was really embracing the Red Sox again last year. And the Bruins will always have a great fan base in this city. But right now, the team of record for the youth of Boston is the Celtics. Because all they've seen basically is success. They haven't seen a dynasty. They've only seen 1 championship. But they've seen a ton of success. When you look at the last decade, they've made the conference finals, 6 times? Through kind of 2 or 3 different iterations of this team, 3 different coaches, 3 different leading men, star players. And they just keep doing it. They keep going to the conference finals. They've been to the finals twice. They've won a title, one of the most dominant NBA teams of this century, if not of all time. And there's still a lot left in the tank. From the 2000s, early 2000s, certainly the Red Sox had their place. And, the 4 championships in 15 years. The Patriots were the biggest with the 6 Super Bowls. But when we're going to look back on the 2020s and this next generation of Boston sports fans, it is the Celtics. And it's because of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. My generation was Ortiz and Brady. Way above everybody else. And maybe the next will have Drake May and Roman Anthony. But the kids who are the youth right now, the ones you see out of the Southie parades, right now, it's Jayson Tatum. It's Jaylen Brown. It's Derek White. It's Peyton Pritchard. It's Joe Mazzulla, Brad Stevens. It's the Boston Celtics. So, like, if you're one of those NBA fans that thought you were getting a pass this year because Tatum wasn't going to be on the team, and at least you'd get a 1-year break and maybe it would fall apart after that, you've got to be punching air right now. Because this Celtics franchise is here to stay. Of course, the trading of one of the Jays is not going to happen. I don't care if they like each other or not. I don't care. They seem to be doing pretty well. I don't know how much Larry Bird and Kevin McHale really liked each other. Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan hated each other. But they won. They played the game the right way. They flat out won. And that's what the Celtics team is going to continue to do. The Celtics franchise is going to continue to do that. And this segment is about Jayson and Jaylen. But I think what makes the Celtics so great this year and under Joe Mazzulla and under Brad Stevens, so I think it'll continue to happen. What makes the Celtics so great is everything else around it. You know, Luka Garza is signed this year after they lose Cornette and Horford. I'm like, Luka freaking Garza? That guy can't play in the league. He's got the heaviest feet in the NBA. He could barely, no way, dude. It's like George Mikan. Except now he's running the floor. Now he's hitting threes. He's having like a career year. Luka Garza. And he's like just a nice enough rotation guy. Nemish Keita, who was the nice rotation guy last year. The dude's a star. Like, they've made him into a legit like top 10 center in the NBA. That's not a joke, man. And Derek White, still a super utility guy. Hasn't had the best shooting year, but notice he's having bigger games when Jayson Tatum's in the lineup and he's the third option. They were better offensively without Tatum than they were with him. 2 months ago, we were looking at this team and saying, yeah, not having Tatum stinks, but really this team can't play defense well enough. Now they're a top 5 defense in the NBA. They're that good. They're holding teams under 100 every night. They're getting after it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Where my dogs at? It's not just Brown and Tatum. Like, Derek White's still on this team, and Baylor Shireman might be the next Derek White. Peyton Pritchard is the best sixth man in the league to the point where now he's starting. That's one of the best bargain deals of anyone in the NBA. He'd be the nailed-on starting point guard for 26, 25 other teams. Like, seriously. And if not, they'd find a way for him to be the starting shooting guard because he could shoot the lights out. Baylor Shireman, dog, getting after it, the defensive end. Boy, has he made himself a name for himself this season. Jordan Walsh has made a name for himself this season. Just up and down the list, man. They don't miss Ron Harper Jr. Are you kidding? Ron Harper Jr.? Yeah, dude. He's been that good. The Celtics are becoming in the NBA what like the Cardinals were for so long in baseball. Like, when you hear that they're interested in someone, you're like, oh, okay. What do we have? If the Celtics are making a call about Derek White, Spurs a couple years ago, you're like, ooh, what are they seeing in him? Or, ooh, man, the Celtics 2 spots ahead of us drafted Ron Harper Jr. What did they see? Baylor Shireman. Okay. Peyton Pritchard. I really thought that guy was going to fall lower. That's what it is now. And when the Celtics come up, when Brad Stevens' number calls your line, when you're another NBA GM, you got to be like, I'm going to get fleeced. I'm about to get fleeced here. What's about to happen? That's what the Celtics have become. Reputationally and on the floor, they are the franchise in the NBA, or at least in the Eastern Conference. Celtics in the East, Oklahoma City in the West. The NBA, as much as the NBA fans hate the Celtics, and they're going to start to hate, SGA and Oklahoma City because they win a lot, the NBA could not ask for anything better than to get those 2 teams in the NBA Finals together. And that's got a good chance of happening. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What is making the Celtics team special? Would you put money on them to go to the the NBA Finals? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. We've got some great Bruins talk. I had this awesome discussion with Jack Studley. We're going to talk about Tuukka Rask, kind of, and Jeremy Swayman, the actual current goalie for the Bruins, and when we're going to see James Hagens, what kind of an impact he is going to make for the Bruins. That's coming up next. But first, I got to talk to you about Blackboard Bar and Kitchen, okay? Because we will be back there on Tuesday. It's coming up, folks. Tuesday, mark your calendars, March the 24th, this upcoming Tuesday. We will be there probably around 5:30 is when we'll start that show to get you the build up to Bruins Leafs on Tuesday night. It's a massive game, not just because the Leafs are in town. The Leafs stink. But not just because the Leafs are in town, but because A, you hold their first round pick, so any win over them is gravy, and B, every point matters. Every point matters. Huge Bruins game tomorrow night at Detroit, and then you follow it up with a back-to-back against Buffalo and Toronto. So we will have that for you. We'll have the updated standings, and we will get you hyped and ready for that one. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, though, like, I don't know where else you would go before or after a Bruins game or a Celtics game or anything else going on at the Garden. We got graduations coming up there end of next month. So I don't know where else you would go. Like, look, you park right around the corner from Blackmore Bar and Kitchen in Charlestown, okay? Cheap parking, which sounds like an oxymoron in Boston, but it's true. And then you walk over the Bill Russell Bridge and bam, you're right there at the Garden. So you want a nice drink before or after? We got you. 34 draft beers, okay? You want something to eat? Boy, do we got that too. Awesome menu at Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Oh, but Cam, maybe I'm going to one of these matinee games, okay? Or I'm going to one of these early Saturday afternoon graduations. Surely it'll be too early to go grab a bite to eat. Pfft, you kidding me? On the weekends, they got brunch as well. You can't ask for anything more. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, thank you for what you do for the Wicked Boston show with Cam Stewart, and we hope to give it right back to you on Tuesday. We will see you there. Coming up next, let's talk some Bruins. Jack Studley of Boston Hockey Now, my good friend and great friend of the show, joins the program. We're going to talk about how the Bruins can sneak into the playoffs and whose shoulders it's resting on. That is coming up next on the Wicked Boston show with Cam Stewart.
Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, located in Charlestown, is the perfect spot for a bite and drink before a Bruins or Celtics game at TD Garden. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen offers 34 rotating beers, craft cocktails, and an eclectic menu of tavern favorites like burgers, sandwiches, and flatbreads. Join us for brunch every Saturday and Sunday, plus pre- and post-game garden events. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Check us out at blackmorebar.com.
Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more.
A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You Like.
Welcome back. Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart, 365 Sports, your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. We bring in our resident Bruins expert, Jack Studley of Boston Hockey Now. You might remember him from the live event of the year, the trade deadline special that had more words than I can remember right now. Honestly, the title of that was probably more interesting than the trade deadline itself back a couple of weeks ago. But big news, Jack, is we had Lucas Reichel actually out there on the ice against Winnipeg last night. And I got to ask you, the big trade deadline acquisition, does it feel wrong that he gets to wear Connor Clifton's number 75 and that it's not in the rafters?
I can't believe they're giving 75 out. It's a shame because Clifton was such a good Bruin. Cliffy hockey. He was one of one. I'm shocked that his number is back in circulation.
He frustrated me sometimes.
Sometimes.
He did.
But there was like the very occasional flare of offense.
Yeah, and he was what he was, right? He was a third pairing defenseman who was kind of back and forth. And like you said, he could give you a little bit of offense sometimes. So
and that was incredible.
I'll take
Yeah.
that. He and Grzelcyk were just admirable soldiers. I think Grzelcyk was better, but they were what they were. And you knew exactly what you were getting out of them. So big Lucas Reichel talk coming up into this segment. You're going to want to stick around for some more Lucas Reichel, the big trade deadline acquisition for the Bruins, who are still perpetually for months now, just right there, wild card spot, hanging on, clinging on to it. And one of the reasons why, this is where I want to start. One of the reasons why the Bruins are in the playoff picture as we are looking towards April pretty quickly here is Jeremy Swayman. Everyone said it, Jack, before the season. You're nowhere if you don't get a bounce back season from Jeremy Swayman. And you have gotten that 100%. And still there are people in this town that want to run him out of town. Let's start there. What is it? Why hasn't this fan base completely embraced Jeremy Swayman?
Did they ever embrace Tuukka Rask?
It's a good point. Damn, that's a good point.
I think that's kind of the situation Swayman's in. Is he's playing in a city that there if you're not Tim Thomas in the 2011 Stanley Cup playoffs, you're not getting praise. And Swayman's been unbelievable. He hasn't been Tim Thomas in the 2011 playoffs. I'll take 2025-26 Jeremy Swayman though. Yeah. It's hard. There's a high standard in this city. And personally, I think Swayman's there. I can't speak on everybody else.
It is funny. You're right. One cup in 50 plus years, and it just so happened to come off the back of literally the greatest postseason a goalie's ever had, ever. And so now that is the benchmark. And what's funny is I am hearing some people use the excuse that they used for Tuukka, which was oh, well, he's not going to be able to carry you in the playoffs with Swayman. And I'm like, really? Because Swayman's played in one playoffs as the full starter. Obviously, he came in that Carolina series a little bit. But Swayman has played one postseason as a starter, and he did carry you. He did win around for you. Let's not get this twisted. You beat Toronto because Jeremy Swayman was absolutely nails. And so, that's where I'm you're losing me here. Because I think if the Bruins do sneak in here, he could be the reason that they might small percentage chance that they steal around. It would be because of him.
I completely agreed. And that's another part of the reason why they signed him to the big contract. And obviously the holdout happened and stuff, but because he won those playoff series, because he proved that he could be a prime goaltender in a top situation like the playoffs. I think if they had lost that series, there would be some question marks going into how long do you sign Swayman for? How much money do you give him? But he proved that he could be a guy. He could be the guy when they played Toronto 2 years ago in the playoffs. I think it's going to have to be something similar this year if the Bruins are in it. But even now with 13 games to go until the playoffs, it's going to have to be Swayman. He's going to have to put the team on his back.
Yeah, that's my next question here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 13 games to go, couple of back-to-back still. How often are you playing Swayman? How much are you riding this guy after we saw, last year he has his most starts ever, like top 5 starts in the league. It was a bad year, no preseason, but with the drop off between he and Korpisalo, who can give you a good game every now and then, like how much are you riding Swayman the rest of the season?
Really as much as you can. And I hate to say that because I don't want to look at Korpisalo and say that he's an issue. Obviously, he hasn't been winning games. He's not awful that like the Bruins are losing games because of him. Like I go back to this weekend, New Jersey was when he played. That was just a tough game. No part of me blames Korpisalo for that loss. Like there was 6 seconds left in overtime. Paul Cotter breakaway. Tough spot for Korpisalo.
Can't give Paul Cotter a breakaway. You just can't.
Yeah, I know.
With his mitts, can't do it.
His mitts, he's the DJ in the locker room. But yeah, I think Korpisalo hasn't been awful. I think he's been worse in a Bruins uniform, but just the way that Swayman's bounced back, the way that he's been playing recently, he is the hot hand. Ride him as much as you can, unless if there's a back-to-back. And that's when there's 2 big ones coming up. Next week is Buffalo, Toronto, and then followed by a Minnesota-Columbus back-to-back. The Columbus game means so much more than the Minnesota game. Minnesota is such a wagon. You're almost throwing Korpisalo into that fire right there against Minnesota to save Swayman for the Columbus game. Just speculation. But I think if not, you're giving Swayman the start for 95% of the games for the rest of the way.
I like that. By the way, Paul Cotter is the only person in NHL history, to score a game-winning overtime goal against the Bruins and attend a wedding with me in attendance. Like that's the only time it's ever happened in the long history of the league.
That's rare. Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It's a long history of the league too. It's like over 100 years we're talking.
League's been around a while. Paul Cotter
is
the only one to do that. Only one to score twice against the Bruins and then go to a wedding with Cam Stewart at it. Pretty incredible stuff. Oh man, you scare me when you talk about the schedule ahead because just like, I don't know how many of these games they could win. And really the question is, okay, which one's at home? Which one's on the road? That might determine whether they actually win these games. And you mentioned Columbus. You look at Columbus, you look at Ottawa, all of a sudden, because of how crazy the Atlantic is, Detroit is now in your mix in the wild card. That's who you got tomorrow night, Saturday night, in a place that they don't often play well. So what team scares you the most?
Columbus. I'm pulling up their record since Bones got started, or even after the break right now. They're 6-1-4 after the break. They've been on fire since Rick Bowness got hired, and they're not going away. And it sucks because, especially for the Bruins, because they've been playing such good hockey, realistically, like all year, but especially since the Christmas break. Like returning from the Christmas break, the Bruins had an unbelievable January. They followed it up.
I think it's still the 5th best record in the league since then.
Yep.
I think that's still the case.
And let me pull that up. January.
You'll know.
Yeah, they're 6th best. They're 17, 6-7. The Blue Jackets are 26-5, and it sucks because looking at these teams in the top 10 since the Christmas break, Buffalo, that's in the division. Carolina, that's who they might play against if the playoffs not if the playoffs started today. The Hurricanes are the 1st seed in the East. The Blue Jackets are right there. The Penguins are the 4th best. The Lightning are the 5th best. The Bruins are the 6th best. Those are all Eastern Conference teams. These teams aren't going away. They're just making it tough. Anything the Bruins are doing, the Red Wings are doing too. The Blue Jackets are doing too. The Canadians are doing too. So it's just, it sucks because every team that you're competing against is just doing the exact same thing as you. So they're all scary, but because they're sitting outside the playoff spot right now, Columbus probably the biggest threat to the Bruins playoff chances.
and they're pretty good at home. Columbus is. The Bruins are bad on the road, and you have at least one game in Columbus left. Am I right? 2. Okay. I was thinking that you had 2 games against them, and they're both in Columbus.
Yep. Love Ohio.
Lovely, man. That and like, look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that's like playing in Montreal in April, but we did see in 2019, like they can get that building pretty loud in a playoff game, and this is basically a playoff game. 2 of them, and they were very, very close to making the dance last year. Oh, that is frightening. Oh man, that is frightening. The fighting Charlie Coyles out there in Columbus.
Oh my God, he's been unbelievable.
I mean, what a player, dude. Like, we've talked about this. I'm a big Charlie Coyle guy because he's a South Shore guy. Weymouth, right? Like, not even like a really ritzy South Shore town. And so, like, growing up, that was the dude. Dude. BU, obviously the Sharks, and then Minnesota for a while before coming to the Bruins. Like, I was done with Charlie at the end of this last year. Like, he's just not really what they needed anymore. And then he goes to a team that was closer to the playoffs last year than the Bruins were, even though they're kind of battling it out right now. And you just see how valuable he is when the rest of your team is good. You know what I mean? He wins faceoffs. He still plays the penalty kill really well, and he never misses time. Dude hit his 1,000th NHL game this year in like 12 seasons. Like he never, ever misses a game. So man, like, I don't know if the Bruins need someone like that right now, but in like 2 years they will, and I'll be like, oh man, wish Charlie Coyle was here.
We had him. Yep.
Yeah, we had him. But I'm glad to see that he is helping out another team like that. So we've kind of gone back and forth on this all season, Jack. But as we sit here right now, March the 20th, okay, are the Bruins going to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yes, and I think that the Red Wings might be the reason why. Now, I know Larkin's back on the ice. I'm not entirely – I know a lot of these teams I just mentioned have been doing great. The Red Wings are tailing off. They do that in March. They love to have all the hype all season long. It's their year. They're going to finally get back into the playoffs. They've been tailing off. And tomorrow, Bruins, Red Wings. So I'm a little worried about the Red Wings playoff chances just because they lost Kopp, they lost Larkin. Larkin will return next week. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be next week. I think the Bruins can get in. They'll need some help, and that's the tough part about it. And Zadorov after the game, he said there was one game where he was like, we can't rely on the other teams to help us get into the playoffs. With the way that the season's going, every time that they're winning, teams are behind them are winning. They might need some help from teams.
Yeah, they are going to need. You just talked about it. Like all these hot teams are Atlantic or right behind you in the wild card. Ottawa put in that list too. You know what they've done the last couple of weeks. They're right back in the picture. Now this isn't a team that's going to make the playoffs, but like New Jersey's winning all of a sudden. You know what I mean? They're not going to knock you out, but
they're playing the Rangers. That's why.
Yeah, well, that helps.
Jack Hughes.
Bruins playing on the road and then playing the Rangers. Like that's an easy formula there. So you wonder about like which ones of those teams are going to play spoiler to you almost, these non-playoff teams. The Rangers actually had a little winning streak last week. So it's like it's just no rest for the wicked, man. All the teams that are losing are out west. And that's where it gets crazy. And I like this about Detroit though, because it's been the 10-year drought. That's what everyone's focused on. But they've been close a few times. They've had some really bad teams in there, but they have been close a few times. They're obviously very close last year. But this is where the hype kind of starts to fade out. And again, it's a building the Bruins just don't play all that well in the last couple of years. Saturday night. How about that? Saturday night hockey. I love that right in the middle of March Madness. That it becomes a massive, massive game. And that worries me because the Bruins are on the road. And it also worries me because Elias Lindholm still plays for the Bruins. I've tried to be nice, Jack. I've tried to be nice, right? Earlier this year,
garden level. You're being nice.
Earlier this year, man, I was like, okay, you know what? You're getting something. You're getting a tune out of Elias Lindholm here. I'm liking this. And really before the Olympic break, it started to happen, but definitely has been highlighted since the Olympic break, where he's played 12 games and had 0 5-on-5 points. That is brutal, but he's a defensive guy. I haven't seen a lot of that either. So I don't know. How bad a disaster does this look with 5 more years left on this contract? We're past the honeymoon phase, or past the getting phased into it phase. It's been 150 games with the Bruins, and it's not good.
No. And I'm in the same boat where I was trying to be nice. I was trying to they really needed to make the signing. When Lindholm was a free agent, the Bruins needed that 1C. And even immediate reaction was, is this the guy? Like, is he really going to be your first line center? Like, we're going to need him to play like he did when he was on the Flames with Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau. Like, we're going to need him to have an unbelievable bounce back season for the next 7 or 8. It's been rough. I kind of thought the third line demotion was a little late. I thought they could have moved that, and they could have made that move before. I know Sturm's not afraid to juggle the lines just to get a jump from his guys. So to see, I love the kid line. To see them up top, but the third line, like, it hasn't translated. And I'll take it even further than Lindholm and say Geekie too. He's been off. It's been the both of them, and it's going to be good to see Reichel and get in there. And I think obviously there's a different answer playing in Chestnut Hill that could help that line whenever they decide they can lose.
Again.
But Elias, I'm not counting the Thursday night game just because I have the stats from before then. 2 points in the last 10, and he's a -9.
But one of those points, one of those assists, they're both assists. One of them was in that Nashville game where he was a -3. So
yes,
awesome, man. You could have been a -4.
He's still playing about 20 minutes though. Like, they're still giving him, because he's on the first power play, so they're giving him the time, the special teams time. Geekie's time on ice has fallen a little bit, especially in the more recent games. But it's just the third line's been a revolving door on the left wing with Steves and Asimont. I saw somebody tweet out that we have like Malik's Stacymont. Like, they just combined the names, and it made me laugh. Now you have Reichel. You're gonna have Hagens in the mix. Like, something's got to give for this third line. Whether maybe it is the guys that they're playing with on the left side. Maybe Reichel comes in and he's got a bolt of energy that they need. But for Geekie and for Lindholm, it's just going back to the game that they played at the beginning of the year. I prefer Geekie on the left side just because of how good it was with Pasternak. I don't know how well it's been on the right. I don't know how well it has. It hasn't looked that well on the right side, but I do see them trying to give Geekie his own line just for going down the future. Like, you might want to separate 2 goal scorers, but they just play so much better together that
Pasta's the only one apparently that can get him the puck. Like, that was a big worry for me going into this year. And, it was like, like you said, maybe not this year, but down the line, like, can you move this guy up and down the lineup? And the answer is still no. And that is what's going to separate him from being Michael Ryder, who was a dependable scorer for a bunch of different teams, playing bottom 6 because he could just score on any line. He could just score with basically everyone. That's another guy, didn't play a lick of defense, much like Morgan Geekie. Not going to drive play, much like Morgan Geekie. But you need someone who could distribute to him in the bottom 6. You're not looking for a Jack Hughes on your third line, but you need somebody who can get a goal scorer of the puck.
What about a Jack Hughes comparable?
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, because as we look at it, we talk about Detroit losing Kopp, losing Larkin for now, and the Bruins are adding. The Bruins add Lucas Reichel, and potentially next week they add James Hagens to the mix. As soon as BC loses, that's what's happening. In fact, I would encourage fans to get to the Garden tonight, this weekend, Bruins fans, and root against Boston College. Just go ahead and do that. Typically, when they're playing in the Garden, I'm doing that anyway, as Jack can attest to. But go and root against BC, please. We need to have James Hagens on this team. And this might be a dumb question at this point, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there any world where BC loses, James Hagens signs the entry-level contract, and he goes immediately to Providence?
I don't think so, just because of what's been going on in the third line here. I'd be surprised if they put him in Providence. I know that like with Lo Schmellis hurt, like Reichel came in to be almost like a replacement, and now that he's in the NHL, there is that spot, but they're so good down there that let Hagens get his NHL reps in. Obviously the AHL transition could help. I think the NHL is more of not a need because he's still a college kid. Saying that he's going to come in and produce in the NHL immediately is a tall ask, but I think just the way that the third line's been that revolving door, put him in the NHL. There's no roster limit. It's not like you're going to you have to send somebody down for him. So I feel like the answer is simple. Just keep him in Massachusetts.
Yeah. And it's only like, I keep using this term, like it is still kind of a free hit, right? Like,
yep.
You're in a retool, but you have someone else's first round pick. And the worst case scenario is it's a completely unprotected next year. So you don't need to be tanking. Like it's not a bad thing if the Bruins make the playoffs because you're like, oh shit, we screwed ourselves in the draft. We need to rebuild. That is already, those things are kind of in place here. And so James Hagens, bring him up. Put him up there. He's a playoff push. Like that's only going to be good for him. You know what I mean? Yep. This isn't just, let's see what the kid's got. That is, let's see what he's got for next year. Where can we put him next year? How can he handle the physical play? How can he handle a playoff push? Is this good for him? I agree with you. It was a debate a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Especially with how the Bruins operate. I just don't think it's a debate anymore. Like he comes in and he is a Boston Bruin. Is he playing on the wing on that third line to start?
I think just to start, yes. Just because they've been playing him at wing so much at BC this season and Sweeney's mentioned like the gateway to entry being easier on the wing. So if you can let him play and let him play with Elias Lindholm, let Lindholm run the center.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. We kind of laugh at it because it's like, oh, now you're just going to put him to that guy we just said was shit. But like Elias Lindholm can handle the defensive responsibilities. It's not going to be a great defensive line if you got Hagens on one side and Geeky on the other. But you do kind of solve a secondary scoring thing. You know,
100%.
The only guy that was able to get Geeky the puck was another winger, obviously a much better one, but like Hagens can be a playmaker. Lindholm can handle the faceoffs, can handle a lot of the defensive responsibilities. I think that can work.
I completely agree. And look at it. For me, it looks like a second line the way it's built with playmaker, middle stat on the left side. You got the 200-foot guy in Pavel Zacha at the center, so Elias Lindholm on the third line, and then you got the sniper on the right side, Geeky Arvidsson. So you're just building yourself a second line again. And
Love that.
The second line has been unbelievable.
Can't get enough second lines.
No.
You really can't.
Nope, not in Boston. They love their multiple lines.
I love a good second line. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Hagens here before we wrap this up. You've obviously you watch a lot of BC hockey.
Yep.
You've seen quite a bit of James Hagens this year. This is a guy that was maligned going into the draft last year. His draft stock fell. People didn't like that he was a 17/18-year-old and was only a point a game in Hockey East. He played with two guys who ended the season on NHL rosters. This year, he was kind of the guy. And all he does is lead Hockey East in scoring, wins the Beanpot, and is a top 10 Hobey Baker finalist right now. So what have you seen from James Hagens? Like, what are the improvements that you've seen that should make Bruins fans really excited?
Yeah, so my big takeaway with Hagens this year is how is he going to be the guy? And I know we just talked about being the guy with Swayman, but is he going to, because last year he had Perreault and he had Leonard. Both are gone. And that one, you just feeding those guys, let them do the work. Like he was more of the playmaker instead of the finisher. This year, he's the guy. He's not playing with those guys on his wings. He's playing with Gassot. He's playing with like another rotating door. So I like him kind of stepping into that. It's his team. It's not Leonard and Perreault's team. It's It's the James Hagens show, to use that old cliche. And just seeing that it's brought me back to like the Jack Hughes comps this season, because I at first was a little wary about it. I know we've talked about it, but yeah, he's that guy. He's that playmaker. He can do it all. And for me, I love seeing him on the left side just because he's going to be a Boston Bruin, and they're foaming at the mouth for a 2-position player.
And I'll tell you what, one of the things, not the one thing, but one part of his game that I was concerned about translating early into the NHL was that shot. The shot looks like an NHL shot this year. Like, I think he's shown that quite a bit. You know, some laser goals where you're like, that could get in an NHL game.
Yeah, that's beaten.
That has to make you feel better about the wing stuff too. You know, that's a guy who can come in and score for you on the wing. He's not going to come in and score 10 points in 10 games, but you know what I mean? Like, he can give you something on the wing kind of right away. I think I'm excited, man. This is as excited as I've been about a Bruins prospect since Sagan.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pastrnak didn't have a ton of hype. Obviously, we learned pretty quickly that this kid was good, but he didn't have a hype. He didn't have a whole season of Pastrnak watch in our own backyard. We just talked about how great he is, and this is the last thing. We just talked about how great Hagens is and how excited we are for him and where he's going to fit in. But does he provide a real boost for them down the stretch?
I think he can. And even when I think of Hagens, I think of Pastrnak over the summer. Remember when that Hagens assist and Pastrnak went on Twitter and like commented on it?
Yes.
Something I just like that. That is what I think of when I think of Hagens joining the roster. Like, they know what's coming.
Yeah.
Like, they see
breathing
this
some life into it.
Exactly. And now, like, a fresh face in the room. He's the new guy. He's the rookie. I think this could be something that the team kind of all gets behind, where it's like, all right, he's here. Like, let's show him what's real. Like, we got a playoff push. You're getting right into it. And like, look at what like McAvoy did. He jumped right into the playoffs. He didn't even wait. They played him in the AHL to start, jumped right up and into the playoffs. So I think that can lift a team, especially when there's some excitement around the guy.
And for me, it means I just got to get another jersey.
Yep.
That's all. That's all. I got another
random
USA
question
one, by the
too.
way. Yeah, I got another USA one on the restock. I got a Jack Hughes one.
Nice.
It's going to come in here. It's friggin' September.
April, yeah. August. Get ready for training camp.
Can't wait.
I'm excited to see what Hagens does for his number, because Riley Tufte, number 10. Does that go away now that he's in Providence?
It's gotta.
It's gotta. He can't be 12.
Like, if you're the Bruins equipment guy, you can't be holding for Riley Tufte, man. but something tells me the Bruins are like respect, like too much respect for Riley Tufte. He's worn 12. He's worn 12 at the World Juniors. But if he doesn't wear 10 right away, it's probably going to be some gross, really high number. Maybe it's 86.
Yeah. Oh, 86. I was going to say 76. You're just going down the line, because Kolyachonok was 74. Reichel 75. They're just going to the next. Remember Kolyachonok? That's going to be a fun trivia answer.
Jesus, man. Yeah. Yeah, it could be something like that.
Like extra jerseys hanging around. James Hagens 76.
But if he does, though, then it puts extra onus on me to get one of those.
I would be at the pro shop.
I love like gag sports memorabilia. I do have a Mikko Rantanen Hurricanes jersey. Like, I don't even like the Hurricanes, but I was like, that kicks ass. Like, I have to have that. I have to have that. So,
especially if it's like a guy in our town too. Like, I have a Mike Gesicki Patriots jersey that I wear with pride. He was only a 1-year Patriot.
Well, it used to be like, I used to handle it like the more obscure one I get, like the better fan I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a Shane Vereen jersey. And I was like, this kid's legit. This guy's really rooting for him. You know what I mean? I had a Mike Cameron shirt.
What does a Blake Griffin Celtics jersey mean to you? Anything?
It could do a number on me. A little 91.
I got one of those too. Number 91.
Hell yeah.
I was like, there's no way I'm passing up on this one.
Hell yeah, man. I do have a Tyquan Thornton Patriots one. That's the Baylor in me.
Yep.
That's a waste. That's a waste. But I'm excited about Hagens, man. I really am.
Same.
And he's what sucks is he's too young to do his birth year. as a number, like how Crosby
Yep.
and McDavid did it. He can't do that, can he?
Nope.
That's a bummer. Anyway, Jack, man, thank you so much for hopping on once again on this Friday. Appreciate it. Let the people know you're with Boston Hockey Now. Let the people know where they can find your stuff, what you're working on, all that good stuff.
Yeah, my Twitter is JackStudley13. You can find all of my work, bostonhockeynow.com, or on my Twitter.
Let's go, dude.
And thank you for having me on again.
As always. In fact, we're going to wrap it up right here. Jack Studley of Boston Hockey Now. Thank him in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about James Hagens, the Bruins, if they're actually going to make the playoffs, how much of a difference he's going to make. Let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because we are your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. It's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys on Monday on the next edition of The Wicked Boston Show.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.